Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and to give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, Mango Voice, Life Chiropractic College West, and M-Sculpt. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 497 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we have the opportunity of talking to Al Pirnia. And if you want to hear the story about how to create a referral network through healthcare, stay tuned. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. It's 497. We're pushing our way closer and closer to 500 episodes. Before we get into this episode with Al Pirnia, I just want to let you know the big why. Why do we do what we do over here at Chiro Hustle? Well, first things first is the First Amendment, freedom of speech. The show protects freedom of speech. We also believe in family health freedom and medical freedom. We believe that people should have a choice as to what they do for their bodies and their families' bodies. Then we do protect the sacred trust. It's B.J. Palmer's last words. He was the developer of this beautiful profession of chiropractic. And his last words were to guard the sacred trust. And if you guys ever want to go find out what that means, go to your favorite search engine and look for B.J. Palmer's sacred trust, his last words, and you'll know a whole lot more about chiropractic. Then we believe in subluxation-based chiropractic, and we support innate intelligence and universal intelligence. We believe that man or woman, when they're adjusted, it connects them, man or woman, the physical, to man or woman, the spiritual. And with that being said, I'm really excited to have Al on the show today, and coming in from Southern California, LA area, and I'm coming in from the beautiful city of Grand Junction, Colorado. Al, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks, Jim. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, we had a great chat before we actually jumped on today and decided to go live on our show. But you're talking about 25 years of working in the health and wellness space. How did you get into that market? And I guess we'll start with that part.
Yeah, it's been a long journey. It's by chance that I got into it. It's funny because my undergraduate is biochemistry and chemical engineering, and from there I got my MBA at USC and just went into investment banking, worked with American Express, Shearson, Lehman Brothers at the highest levels with the vice chairman. And then by chance, I got recruited to run a nutraceutical company that was growing so fast they couldn't manage their business. And from there, I got to see what was going on in our healthcare space and got really disgusted with the this disease management approach. And in 1998, when the internet was kind of bubbling up, I thought, well, maybe the solution is let's use the internet to get physicians to become more integrative. And I went out and raised a whole bunch of money through venture capital and started a company called Natural Health Inc., thinking we could change the direction of healthcare to a more preventative model with using the internet and getting physicians interested. But unfortunately, back then, it was not meant to be. Nobody was ready. The practitioners weren't ready. The internet wasn't ready. Society wasn't ready. The markets crashed. 9/11 happened. But I got tremendous insight as to what really needs to be done. And when that scenario ended with the company being taken over, I moved on to start all over again, but this time knowing exactly what I had to do. And that's the journey I've been on for 25 years.
So you said that you were working within the health and wellness space and nutraceuticals, and you saw that there was trouble. How did you start offering solutions to that?
Well, the first thing I realized that we need to address as far as trying to correct this healthcare system is make sure that people have better food habits. And I always have believed that if society doesn't get their food right, everything we do in healthcare is going to be a band-aid. Um, Basically, the food we eat is killing us, and people need to make better choices. So the first step was to develop a program that we now call Transformation 360 that practitioners use in their practice with patients. And it's a phenomenal program because there's no meal replacement shakes and bars, but it empowers people to understand the good, the bad, and ugly about food, and how to take control of blood sugar and body composition, the two main drivers of disease. And in association with this Transformation 360 program, we created a concept called WICO. It's like your FICO for health. It evaluates 15 functions of the body, and it becomes a baseline before somebody goes on to the Transformation 360 diet. And then they do it again after 5 or 10 weeks. Dramatic change in the symptom profile because of the diet. But what remains then allows us to give what we call a health recovery plan to address whatever else remains and get to the root cause. So that's what we kind of first started off with in trying to address the foundational issue of bad food habits and excess weight and elevated blood sugar.
Yeah, I've, at this point, I was just mentioning to you how many people we've talked to about chiropractic over the past 5.5 years. And I think that there's a common theme there about feeding ourselves sick.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of the problems that we're having metabolically are coming from acidic bodies.
Yeah.
And people are not understanding quality of food. And I just was watching this guy that released this information. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was talking about for dollar amount calories when you go to like a grocery store, the higher the calorie content that you can purchase for the least amount of money, it has more calories but less nutrients.
That's right.
And people are buying for calorie per dollar now rather than nutrient density and for health of what they're feeding themselves. And I think that there's a lot to be said about when people do start to, want to be healthy long term. We got to focus on their pre-diabetic symptoms, their metabolic syndrome, things that are really like a big concern for longevity of quality of life. So talk a little bit about this wellness credit score and how you can help people improve that.
Yeah, it actually matches FICO. A lot of people think it's the same company because it's called WICO, WICO. It stands for Wellness Index Condition Optimal. They complete a symptoms questionnaire online. It takes about 20 minutes because there's about 280 questions. It evaluates 15 functions of the body like thyroid, digestion, liver, gallbladder, based on symptoms. And when they complete the questionnaire, they get a score, and over 800 is good. As it goes down, it's bad. And it's a function of how many severe, moderate, and mild conditions people have from these 15 functions we just analyzed. Now, what's great with this concept for clinics is that it allows for a patient to understand, most importantly, the kind of healthcare that clinic is offering, which is to try and get to the root cause of their problems, correct imbalances before disease conditions set in, and try and become preventative. So when they complete this questionnaire and they see they've got some severes and moderates and they've got a bad score, now they want to have a consult to find out what's severe, what's moderate, what's mild. And in that consult, they start realizing there's two kinds of healthcare systems. There's our disease management system where we just ignore you until you're diseased and manage you for the rest of life with drugs and medication and surgery. Or there's this other alternative that these practitioners, it could be chiropractors, it could be naturopaths, could be even medical doctors, they've kind of moved into the space of prevention and wellness and trying to get to the root cause. And they basically now realize there's this alternative option that is trying to correct imbalances before disease sets in. And most importantly, make better food choices. Because again, without getting the food right, everything else is Band-Aid.
Well, I've once heard that it's not what you eat, it's what you eat eats, and what we feed the things that we eat. So I think that that's another level of people to be considerate of as people decide on how they take care of themselves and their families. And I think that's really important for people to have access to information and see how to fix themselves. And I think that so many times, like I said earlier, we feed ourselves sick and there's no real solutions on how to fix that. And people always want to say, oh, it's in my genes, it runs in my family. And I think it runs in the marketing and it runs in the consumerism. And you talked about earlier about sick care model. And I always tell people this: if we don't tell them the truth about chiropractic and natural health, then somebody else will close them for drugs or surgery.
Yeah.
And I think that longevity and quality of life are more important. And I always tell people I've never met anybody that took more medication that had a better quality of life, that had more vitality, that had more enthusiasm to get up and like go change the world. So we have to start with the basics. We have to know like what's going on inside that person, the personal blueprint. And I think that as I've interviewed more and more functional medicine doctors, I start to realize that there is a blueprint to every person. And if we can start to find out where the walls are falling down, and we can start to find out where there's weaknesses in their systems, or as you said, symptoms, I think that once we find out where those root causes are, we can start to fill the gap and we can start to rehabilitate people into healthier versions of themselves. And I know that, as you've gone through and you started realizing where these deficiencies were in the medical model, you went on to build a network of functional healthcare clinics. Maybe talk to us a little bit about the network of functional healthcare clinics that you've put together and how it's helping, support local communities.
Yeah, we since I started all over again, we created these programs like the Transformation 360, like the YCO score, and a number of others, and started outreaching to functional medicine clinics to get them interested to offer it to their patients. But in addition to having their patients be introduced, we would start referring people into the clinic because would have such a profound impact on people's lives. So what we did is we first would establish an HP, a health practitioner that is doing functional, nutritional, or integrative medicine, and we create a community around the clinic of other health and wellness professionals. It could range from a biological dentist to thermography, Pilates, yoga, fitness. Together, the HP and these HPPs, health promoting professionals, would become the carousel of wellness for a territory. And the beauty of the concept is that first and foremost, everybody in the carousel starts referring to one another, their patients or their clients. They get on a couple of platforms that we refer into their clinics and their businesses. And we have an expo staged every so often in their territory for this carousel to get introduced to the community. And at that expo, we invite companies, especially their self-funded and shared-funded companies, like their HR managers, their corporate wellness directors, their risk managers, their benefit managers, to come and learn about this alternative approach to healthcare, which is let's correct imbalances before they're diseased instead of waiting for people to get sick. And that's worked out really well. These expos are a phenomenal half-day event, usually during the week at the end of the day, that it's easy for people to come to in a 3 or 4 hour period. They learn about all these different modalities, and then they get excited to either use it themselves or take it into the employee pool and create a lot of activity for the carousel members.
I think it's really it's encouraging to hear this because I think there's a lot of people out there that are looking for solutions. And I tell people all the time when I'm doing chiropractic marketing and sales is most people just don't know where to go or who to trust. And they don't know where to find good information. And actually they have too much information. And if you could just make it easy for people to get into a network and to start taking care of themselves better. I always love it when people can get better faster.
Yeah.
And I think that we don't have to, condition people for a lifetime of triage care. I think that if we do it, we can condition people for a lifetime of being healthy and have wellness in their lifestyle and not be in infirmary and disability and limited. I think a lot of times when people come into the health and wellness arena, they come into it because they're trying to fight something or get over something or get through something. And I think it's just really cool what you're doing is building these people into these almost networks to say, okay, you're going to help with this aspect, you're going to help with this aspect, you're going to help with this aspect, and we'll make sure that we start becoming a healthier city and a healthier neighborhood and a healthier community, rather than we're just going to keep on figuring out how to medicate you and get you to the a longer life with less quality. And I think that that's really what after I read what you've been doing with your Ever Health system, you help people stay healthy forever. And I think that's cool.
Yeah, what's really important, Jim, with this concept is that an HP, a health practitioner that is functional or nutritionally oriented, integrated, whatever you want to call them, they're primarily focused around diet, nutrition, and therapy. What's missing with most of them is lifestyle. They don't have the bandwidth, the time, or the network of these professionals to say, hey, you should go and see this biological dentist. Oh, I want you to go and see this thermography instead of this mammogram. You need to be more relaxed. Let's take some yoga classes. They don't have the time to get into that kind of thinking, and they don't even have the network, if they did have that kind of thinking, for each patient that comes through the door. So what we're able to do for the HP, the health practitioner, is create this network of HPPs, health promoting professionals, so that together they can really make a huge difference in people's lives, not just around the individual condition they have, but also making sure they have the right lifestyle. Because many times why people get in trouble with their health has to do with a terrible lifestyle. And having these two combined creates an incredible opportunity to help people get well and stay well.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, Mango Voice, Life Chiropractic College West, and Sculpt. Let's hustle. Yeah, as I hear what you're saying here, I just have to think, like, I've worked with a lot of offices, a lot of chiropractic clinics, and I've noticed that a lot of times the doc is generally fit and trim, and they do their shakes or they do their exercises and make sure that they wake up early in the morning, workout. They're doing like biohacking stuff like cold plunges. They're doing red light therapy. They're doing sauna. Like they're doing like all these biohacking, like integration things. They're doing PEMF. They're doing things to stay healthy. But I've noticed a lot of times that their staff doesn't look like they're taking such good care of themselves. So this is kind of a call to action for me, is like, if somebody is out there and they're listening to this and they have a staff and the doc is like the pillar of the community, and they are taking care of themselves, how can we help their teams get healthier along the journey with them and look the part when they're actually working in the offices full time?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we do when a clinic works with our programs, especially with the Transformation 360, is we tell the practitioner, look, if there's anybody in your clinic that looks unhealthy, is unhealthy, has health issues, has weight issues, has blood sugar issues, encourage them to go onto our program. You can't force people, but you can certainly encourage them and give them some motivation. Because what happens is that people literally become a new person, and how they look, how they feel, how they function. And that energy and excitement when you have a transformation of a person is something you can't hide, and it creates an energy in the clinic. Everybody that comes in says, "Hey, what's going on with you?" So it is crucial that any clinic that has staff that is unhealthy, that is overweight, that just doesn't have the energy and the excitement about what they're doing in that practice, that needs to change. And it's not difficult. I mean, literally, our one program, and we've got many programs, that this one program could make that change and create that energy and excitement so that anybody that comes into the clinic says, "Hey, what's going on with you?" And that by itself, they become literally a walking billboard for that practice.
You took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah.
And I think that, you understand the scope of what we're doing here is we're creating a healthier practice, which it inspires others to find out to what they can do to make themselves more healthy too. And it's congruent. People want to go where other people are looking good, feeling good, and feeling healthy, and they want that too. And I think it's really cool that you have a system that teams can do and really support the growth of a practice by doing the work for themselves first.
Yeah. It's all about empowerment, Jim. Our whole mission and in working with practitioners is to empower society to start being proactive with their health. And we actually, at this next conference we have in Dallas at the end of April, we are launching at a black tie dinner a whole movement called Love Your Health. And the concept is we want to educate, excite, and empower society to become proactive with their health. The education is all about understanding you have two options in healthcare. You can either wait and get diseased and have somebody manage you, or you can go with this other option, which is to become proactive and correct imbalances before they become diseased. We excite them with the technologies. There is unbelievable amount of technology in healthcare to help people restore health and prevent disease and promote wellness. And we empower them by partnering them up with these practitioners that have taken the time, the energy, and the resources to integrate these amazing technologies into their practice. And that's really our core mission as a company, is to change our healthcare system to become a more proactive one. And we feel this Love Your Health movement that's officially being launched at the conference in the end of April in Dallas is going to get tremendous amount of reception and interest with all the collateral and everything we're doing for people to start looking for practitioners that can provide these kinds of technologies to them.
Well, I'm just going to go back in time a little bit and let people know a story about Chiro Hustle. Our first claimed name for our show was going to be called the Chiropreneur. And it was like a hybrid of chiropractic and entrepreneur. And then I was like, no. We're going to call it I Love Chiropractic Podcast. And I was like, no. All I do is sell chiropractic, so I'm going to call it Chiro Hustle. But as I hear you talking there, I feel the synergy of Love Your Health podcast in the future for you. But as I hear your story, I'm just curious, over the time of 25 years working in this space, what have you done to keep yourself so healthy?
Oh, it's really crazy. One of the reasons I became so interested in this space was because of my own health journeys.
Yeah.
In my
A lot of times we want to fix ourselves, right?
Exactly. I mean, I had prostatitis in my 30s, and I was having some, symptoms and problems, and I went to the traditional urologist who gave me an antibiotic that I reacted to, and then said, well, the other antibiotics really don't work, and he just kind of like, oh, well, you mean there's nothing else you can do? And I started looking and researching, and I found a solution to it. And then I had thyroid issues, no energy, and then I found a solution to that. I mean, I had, my good bacteria, bad bacteria imbalance, created some kind of aching in my stomach. And all I had to do was take some probiotic. I mean, every step of the way to the point of becoming a diabetic and not ever going on to medication. I've had it and I fixed it without drugs and medication. So I've been on this journey. I've lived it. And that's what's so motivating for me in what I'm doing, is because I know there is an alternative approach to literally every problem that's out there. And the drugs, they do nothing but create these other problems, and they never address the root cause. So it's been an incredible awakening for me, and that's why I'm so passionate about what I do.
Yeah, there's an easy saying that I like to tell people is when they get into the chiropractic lifestyle, it gives years to their life and adds life to their years.
Yeah.
And I think when people start to understand blueprint medicine based on the individual, now we can start to look at what's going on inside the individual and how we can start to make directional change for them for improvement. Like you said, a lot of the stuff is lifestyle oriented. So if we start fixing some of the habits with lifestyle, I've heard many times that people don't get diabetic from what they eat. They get diabetic from what they see and eat. And if we can start cleaning up like the mentality around the individual, then the lifestyle pattern changes. And there's a saying that one of my buddies, he's an older guy, had heart surgery a year and a half ago. And one of the things that always ruminates with me is as people get older, they'll either invest in their health now or they pay for sickness later.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of times when people think about the healthcare world, they think of healthcare as what does their insurance pay for?
Yeah.
What will their MD recommend to them? And a lot of times what the MD recommends to them doesn't have anything to do with drinking more water and getting 8 hours of sleep at night and eating real food and working out 30 minutes every day and having positive mental clarity and positive, healthy relationships. I think a lot of the things that we've missed the mark on is building a community that you've done and giving resources and access to people. So, I mean, I just love the fact that we're able to have such a congruent conversation today about what you've seen as a trend over the past 25 years, where we are today. I think that that's a really important thing for people to have an inventory on. Where are we today and where are we going? So I know that that's a major part of our conversation towards the end of our interview today. So as we get to the next 20 years down the line, how do you see people accessing their healthcare needs? And what do you see as a trend moving forward?
Well, I think that people are going to realize that they need to be proactive. They cannot just wait until some disease takes hold and go from there. They'll probably, they'll realize that's a fast way to bankruptcy. In our system now, where half the bankruptcies have to do with catastrophic illness. So I think people will realize they have to be proactive. And what's exciting is that pretty much all of these disease conditions are preventable. The genetics play a very small role for a very small percentage of the population. And even then, it has to be triggered. So most people can become preventative, and there's so much technology now available. Unfortunately, our traditional healthcare system, again, they're using that technology to just try and address disease conditions. But there's so much technology in terms of looking at where you are and correcting imbalances before disease conditions set in. So I see the future where we have practitioners that are using technology to evaluate where people are and then correcting imbalances before disease conditions set in, and making sure they're making better lifestyle choices. And that's what our whole network's all about. We have the clinicians who are using these technologies. We call them top technology HPs. And the technology could range from a simple blood test that shows that there's a good likelihood you're going to have a heart attack in the next 12 months, or you got a blocked artery, and have a solution to it, which is not, let's get cholesterol down, but let's get rid of the plaque and then redo that blood test and see how we've done in 6 months. So there's lots of technology that we can use to help people stay well, stay tremendously vital and with energy and function, so that we can reduce the healthcare costs with all this medication and give people a true experience in life where they can enjoy their family and their kids and their grandkids and be productive.
Yeah. The main reason I do my life the way that I do is because I don't want to be a liability for other people.
Yeah, for sure.
And I see that most people don't think about chiropractic, which is our lane, from first breath to last breath. They come into a chiropractor's office when they've tried everything else. They're like, well, I've tried this doctor and this doctor and this specialist and this person, but I still have headaches. I've tried this person and this person. They've cut into me, put these rods in me, and now I don't feel like it ever made my life or quality of life better.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times we just have been told, I call it the neighbor's cousin's brother's cousin, like family has a dogmatic approach to what healthcare is. And if they really knew, they would be the ones running Ironman. They'd be the ones that were hiking to the top of big mountains. They'd be the ones that were playing pickleball in their 60s. Like, I think that we just have to reevaluate who we take our information from.
Yeah.
And I think that we have to really evaluate like what we want for long term in our life. Like I call it from cradle to grave care, first breath to last breath, from womb to tomb. I think there's a lot of things that people should take in consideration as they go into, the fall and the winter seasons of their life.
Yeah.
And we want to go there with style and grace and not be a liability for our loved ones. And like you said, a lot of bankruptcy towards the end of people's life is catastrophic healthcare concerns.
Yeah.
And I grew up in Iowa, and I tell people all the time, this was before the past couple of years, but when somebody would get sick in the country, like farmers, a lot of times the farmer would have to liquidate their assets and sell the farm to save someone's life and to like actually like keep their loved one alive. And I think we've lost that type of responsibility where we are today. So people really have to start investing in their health and making it their most valuable asset, not their work, not the things that they own, but them. They have to take accountability for them and really take into consideration that they don't want to be a liability in the fall and winter seasons of their life.
That's true. That's absolutely true. And that's hopefully going to be the future where people are proactive
Mm-hmm.
with all the technology that's out there and practitioners who know how to use those technologies.
Yeah, I think that everybody should understand what their blood work has to say about who they are metabolically. And they should have a trusted resource that can give them advice on how to regulate that and get it back onto vitalism. I think there should be more vitalism approach to keeping people healthy rather than, like you said earlier, chasing symptoms.
Yeah.
Well, I know you have a Changing Life and Destiny conference coming up at the end of April in Dallas. Tell us about that. And if people wanted to jump on board and join you there, if they wanted to learn more about your systems, let's close out with that.
Sure. It's a pretty amazing event based on the feedback we're getting. I've had unsolicited emails saying this was the best event we've ever. I'm talking about last year. People were saying this is the best event we've ever been to. Amazing technologies, amazing speakers. So it's a 3-day event. Friday from 9 to 4, we have like almost 25 workshop master classes by some amazing world-class experts. Friday night, we have a black tie dinner where we're officially launching the Love Your Health movement. And it will have about 500 movers and shakers at that dinner. Saturday and Sunday, we open it up for just the exhibit hall for people to come and experience the latest and the greatest technologies. What our conference is all about technology. We're not having people come there to get these other courses. Every presentation, workshop, every discussion we have, it's about the technologies being showcased in the exhibit hall. So it's a fantastic place for anybody interested, especially practitioners, to come and learn about the latest and the greatest. we're officially launching at this conference what we call the Health 100. These are 100 companies changing healthcare with their technologies, and the top technology HP practitioners who are using these technologies, and the Love Your Health movements to get society to realize their number one priority should be their health. You can't continue loving whatever you love, whether it's your family, your sports, your music, your food, if you have no health. So the whole idea at this conference is to get society to realize, make your health your number one priority. Use these technologies that's amazing, that standard of care doesn't even know exists, or they don't care about it, and work with these practitioners that can partner with you to help restore your health, prevent disease, and promote wellness. And people can find out more about this conference at changelifedestiny.com. That's just changelifedestiny.com. And they can see if it's something that resonates, and if they want to attend, they can do so through that platform.
Well, you definitely got my interest. I have to see if I got booked for that weekend at the end of April, but changelifedestiny.com. I think anybody out there that wants to go and network and see the latest and greatest in health and wellness technology, and see leading experts facilitating and sharing their success stories of how they've done what they've done and how you can do that also. I really think that this is a great thing for people to take into consideration and attend. Al, I really appreciate you being on with us today at Chiro Hustle.
Oh, thank you, Jim. I appreciate you, what you're doing. You're doing a phenomenal service for everybody to learn about what else is an option in their healthcare journey.
Well, at this juncture of the interview, we're going to close out, but is there anything that I didn't ask you that you'd like to share with our audience?
I mean, I think that the bottom line for me to share with people is that take your health seriously. It's without health, you don't have anything, and you become a burden. And there is so much you can do to become proactive with your health. It does start with getting yourself educated. So coming to this conference is the first step. The second step is to realize that there are professionals out there that can make a huge difference in your life. Don't try and do it on your own. Partner with these practitioners, and understand there is a solution to pretty much everything that's out there. It's just our traditional guys aren't looking to solve problems. They're really managing symptoms. And you really want to be on the other side of the equation, because you can start off with one drug, and by the time you're done, you're taking 10, 20, 30 drugs, and you've never addressed the root cause, and you're just taking care of symptoms, and it's not a good way to go.
Well, Al, I appreciate your enthusiasm, your confidence, your resources, and your knowledge on the health and wellness market over 25 years. I'm going to close out by telling everyone, you're just one story away. Just keep hustling. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Jim.
you, Al.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.